The rain fell like accusations that November evening, each drop a reminder of every person I'd walked past, every plea I'd ignored, every moment I'd chosen comfort over compassion. I stood at my apartment window, 23 stories above the city, watching the streets below blur into rivers of light and shadow. My reflection stared back at me, a stranger wearing my expensive suit, and I couldn't remember the last time I'd looked at myself and felt proud. Tomorrow I would give my biggest presentation yet, the one that would make me partner at the firm. But tonight all I could think about was her. I met her on a Tuesday, though I didn't know her name yet. The morning had started like any other, my alarm jerking me awake at 5:30, my routine as precise as a surgeon's incision. Coffee, shower, suit, briefcase. I was out the door by 6:15, joining the river of professionals flooding into Manhattan's financial district. We were an army of ambition, eyes fixed forward, earbuds in, hearts locked. She was sitting on the corner of Madison and 47th, a cardboard sign propped against her knees, but I barely registered her presence. I'd trained myself not to see them anymore. The homeless, the desperate, the forgotten. It was easier that way. Safer. I had goals, timelines, a 5-year plan that didn't include distractions. But she wasn't asking for money. Her sign didn't say homeless or hungry or God bless. It said, in careful, almost childlike handwriting, "What's your story?" I slowed down just for a second. Our eyes met. Hers were gray, the color of winter mornings, and impossibly clear. She couldn't have been more than 60, though the street had a way of aging people beyond their years. She wore a man's coat 3 sizes too big, and her hair, silver and thin, was tucked beneath a knitted cap with a hole near the crown. She smiled at me, an actual smile, warm and genuine, like we were old friends reuniting after years apart. I kept walking. For 3 weeks, she was there every morning. Same corner, same sign, same smile. I pretended not to notice, but I started taking a different route, adding 5 minutes to my commute. I told myself it was because of construction on 47th, but I knew the truth. She unsettled me. Her kindness felt like an indictment. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was running late, a client emergency that had kept me up until 3 a.m., and I'd forgotten about my alternate route. I rushed past her corner, head down, phone pressed to my ear when I heard someone crying. Not her. A young woman, maybe 19 or 20, was crouched on the sidewalk a few feet away, her backpack spilled open, papers scattering in the wind. I watched as the older woman, the one with the sign, struggled to her feet. She moved slowly, painfully, one hand pressed against the building wall for support. She gathered the papers one by one, chasing them down the sidewalk despite the obvious pain in her legs. Then she knelt beside the crying girl and wrapped her in that enormous coat. "It's okay, honey," I heard her say. "Whatever it is, it's going to be okay." The young woman sobbed into her shoulder. "I failed. I failed my exam. I can't go back home. I can't face my parents. I can't." "You can," the older woman said firmly. "You're stronger than you know. And failure? Failure is just practice for success. You get up, you try again, and you keep trying until you get it right." I stood frozen, my client still talking in my ear, but I couldn't hear the words anymore. I watched as this woman who had nothing gave everything, her comfort, her time, her wisdom. When the young woman finally stopped crying, the older woman helped her pack up her things, gave her a bottle of water from her own meager supplies, and sent her off with another hug. Then she turned and saw me watching. I ended my call, walked over, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I actually looked at her. "Why do you do that?" I asked. She tilted her head. "Do what?" "Help people." "You don't have anything yourself." Her laugh was unexpected, bright as bells. "I have everything that matters. I have time, I have compassion, and I have stories. Speaking of which, what's yours?" I should have walked away. I had a meeting in 20 minutes. Instead, I sat down on the cold sidewalk beside her. "I don't have a story," I said. "Everyone has a story." So I told her. Not the carefully curated version I shared at networking events, but the truth. I told her about growing up poor, about my mother working 3 jobs, about the scholarship that saved my life. I told her about the guilt I carried, the way success felt like betrayal, like I'd left my past behind and everyone in it. I told her about the emptiness I felt despite my 6-figure salary and my luxury apartment. She listened without interrupting, her gray eyes steady on my face. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "You want to know my story?" I nodded. "I was you once. Different career, same ambition. I was a surgeon, one of the best in the state. I had everything. Big house, fancy car, respect. Then my daughter got sick. Cancer. She was 7 years old. My breath caught. I took time off to care for her. Then more time. Then I lost my job. Lost my house. Lost everything except her. And you know what? Those 2 years I spent by her bedside, watching her fight, holding her hand, reading her stories, those were the richest years of my life. Not because of what I had, but because of what I gave. Because of who I became. Your daughter?" I whispered. She beat it. "She's 32 now, a teacher in Oregon. 2 beautiful kids. She wants me to move out there, but—" She gestured to the street around us. "There are too many stories here. Too many people who need to be seen." I couldn't speak. My throat felt too tight. "You haven't left your past behind," she said gently. "You've lost your way forward. You're so busy climbing that you forgot why you started. Your mother didn't work 3 jobs so you could become rich. She worked 3 jobs so you could become free. Free to choose who you want to be. Free to use your success to lift others up." I cried then, right there on Madison Avenue, in my $1,000 suit, while the woman with nothing held space for my everything. Her name was Margaret, Dr. Margaret Chen, though she laughed when I called her doctor. "Just Margaret," she insisted. I didn't make my meeting that day. I stayed on that corner for 3 hours, listening to her stories, meeting the people who passed by. Each one knew her. Each one had been touched by her kindness. The construction worker who brought her coffee every morning, the shop owner who let her use the bathroom, the teenager who credited her with saving his life. "I was going to jump," he told me, stopping by to give Margaret a sandwich. From the Brooklyn Bridge. I was standing at the edge and she found me somehow, talked to me for 6 hours. Didn't try to fix me, didn't preach, just listened. Made me feel like I mattered. "You do matter," Margaret said simply. "You always did." That night, I went home and looked at my life differently. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I called my boss and quit. He thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. I started small. I partnered with a nonprofit that helped homeless individuals transition to housing. I used my financial skills to help them budget, to navigate the bureaucratic maze of social services. I showed up at Margaret's Corner every morning and together we talked to people. Really talked to them, saw them. 3 months later, I'd depleted most of my savings. I'd moved into a smaller apartment. I'd lost touch with most of my colleagues, and I'd never been happier. Margaret's health declined that winter. I found her an apartment, but she refused it at first. "What about my corner?" she asked. "I'll keep it warm," I promised. She moved into a small studio in Queens. Her daughter flew in from Oregon. On Christmas Eve, we all gathered there. Margaret and her daughter and grandchildren and me and a dozen other people whose lives Margaret had touched. We ate Chinese takeout and told stories. And Margaret, frail but radiant, smiled that same smile I'd first seen on Madison Avenue. She died in February, peacefully, in her sleep. At her funeral, more than 200 people came. Lawyers and construction workers, teachers and teenagers, people from every walk of life. Each one had a story about how Margaret had changed them. I scattered her ashes on 47th and Madison. Early one Sunday morning when the city was quiet, I placed a new sign where hers had been. It read, "What's your story? I'm listening." Now I sit on that corner every morning before I head to my new job at the nonprofit. Some days are hard. Some days I wonder if I made the right choice. But then someone stops, someone sits, someone shares their story. And I remember Margaret's words. "You haven't left your past behind. You've lost your way forward." I found my way. It was always there, waiting on a street corner, held in the hands of a woman who understood that the greatest wealth we possess is our capacity to see each other, to hold each other's stories, to remind each other that we matter. Her name was Margaret, but she taught me that her could be anyone. The woman on the corner, the teenager in crisis, the stranger who needs to be seen. Her is every person we pass who deserves our attention, our compassion, our time. Her is all of us waiting to be recognized, waiting to matter, waiting to know that in this vast, indifferent city, in this complicated world, someone sees us. And now every morning I make sure they do.